Good, because this is my good side, so I need to be here.
Perfect. We're totally in sync.
Cool. All right, we're live. Thank you, everyone, for joining the Inbound Studio. We're here with Bozoma Saint John, the Chief Brand Officer at Uber.
Yes.
Inbound 2017. Big day today.
Yes.
I think it has to be, how did you enjoy this morning's keynote with Michelle Obama?
I mean, I was sitting there like this the whole time. At some points, I was like, your face is stuck. I'm like, I know. I don't know how to stop it. You know, I just love Michelle Obama so much. It's like a little bit obsessive.
She was amazing. Was there anything
Incredible.
in particular, like she said, key takeaway that was like,
Oh.
yes? I mean,
Man,
all
she
of them.
said,
But
well, she said so many things, but I really liked her honesty about what it was like to transition out of the White House. You know, I think sometimes we don't realize like the personal toll. You know, when she was talking about her daughters crying and that she was crying, but she didn't want to come outside and be crying because then people would think it was for something else. You know, it's just like thinking about what that reality is like. You know, that sometimes you're not able to just be who you are. Like, girl, you know how much I cry? I cry all the time, you know? So,
do you cry at work?
Oh, I cry at work, girl. I do all kinds of things at work.
Well, a lot of people.
I do cry at work. Yeah. I mean,
A lot of people were like, never cry at work. It's like,
no, I think it's important to cry at work.
Why?
Because it's important to show all the emotion. You know, we're human beings. That's the way that we communicate with each other. You know, it's like we're not just flat. So how am I supposed to know if you're excited or if you're upset or if you're happy or angry or anything, you know, if there's no emotion. So to me, it's like, you know, sometimes there's a really good idea and girl, I will fugly cry in a second. Like, so good.
Let's talk about the human side of things and
Yeah.
everything. And like you're relatively new to Uber, a couple months on the
3
job.
months.
And a lot's been talked about you coming on to humanize the brand and sort of, bring that to the forefront. What does that mean? How are you doing that, and what does that really mean?
Yeah, no, that means that, I talk a lot about the left side and the right side of the brain. To me, the left side is like the rational side, the side that does the math, that tells you like 1 + 1 = 2, and that 3 does not exist in that equation. The right side is the side I'm trying to lure out. You know, the empathetic side, the side that tells you that, no, 1 + 1 does not equal 2, it equals 4.5, you know, or something else, you know, that maybe you can't imagine.
Yeah.
And that literally also means that I'm trying to attach to the emotion that I just talked about. You know, it's like, are there people who inspire you, that make you laugh, that are, you know, I don't know, anything that makes you feel something? Can I tell those stories so that it paints a broader picture of the platform? Because it's not just a tool to get you from one side of town to the other side of town. You know, there are people who are making a living, you know, in the driver's seat. There are riders who are on a really serious mission. You know, whether it's like to the grocery store or it's to like visit a date, okay? Because the drivers are therapists as well.
From experience, I know that.
Oh, really?
You get into a nice conversation with, you get a nice conversation with drivers. Sometimes it's like, this is great.
Yeah. But they also have to like be psychic. You know, it's like you get in the car and some people don't want to talk at all. You have to pick up those cues. You know, it's like some people are cold. You got to turn on, you know, the heat. They're hot. You got to turn it back down. You know, there's so much going on. And so I want to show the human side of all of those things. And then also make the product feel more human, too.
How much of that is rebranding and rehumanizing the internal culture as well?
It certainly connects. You know, I don't think it's possible to not make changes internally when you're trying to make external changes too. You know, it's like any of us, again, like a human being. You know, it's like if you want to make changes to your outward appearance, you got to make changes to the internal systems. You know, it's like if you're good at, girl, I just got a jump rope because I'm trying to do some things, okay? These hips, they do lie. And so I'm trying, you know what I mean? But the thing is, I've got to change some internal things too. And so I apply the same thing to the company, you know, which is that we've got to change some internal things in order to be accepted for the external changes we're going to make.
You've had a long career before this in companies.
Not that long. I'm still young.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
A successful career before
I'm
this.
kidding, girl. I'm 40 years old. I'm fine with it. I'm totally okay. Totally mature.
but not in companies like Uber, a tech Silicon Valley company. You've been at Pepsi, you've been at Apple.
Yeah.
Really interesting brands that have done some cool things. What have you learned from those? But what about those companies sort of got you to say, yeah, let's do Uber now?
Well, it's an interesting question. I feel like I'm a pop culture PhD.
Yeah.
It's like if there was a pop culture Jeopardy, I would be grand champion. Like, don't battle me. You know what I mean? Like, you will lose.
All right.
But the truth of the matter is that I have used pop culture to tell stories throughout my career. So actually my first job was with Spike DDB, Spike Lee's advertising agency. We worked on Jaguar cars, on the New York Knicks, of course, alongside a number of other things. And then, yes, to Pepsi and Apple. And I've always used pop culture to tell the story along the way, And so for me at this point, it just simply makes sense. Uber is a part of pop culture. It's a verb. It's like you want to Uber somewhere, like it is a part of our lexicon.
Yep.
And so to me, it makes sense to then connect it to the things that we talk about. You open up your phone, right? And it's like it's sitting next to your music app, it's sitting next to your movies app, it's sitting next to the books, it's sitting anything. And so why not connect all those pieces together?
Absolutely. And so what you're doing is obvious, this idea of humanizing the brand, branding in general is a big undertaking. And Uber's got a lot going on. I think that's out in the news. So how do you give yourself short-term and long-term goals so that you don't get overwhelmed by the task at hand?
So here's the thing. It's like a buffet. You know what I mean? Like I'm at the good old kitchen buffet. And I want to fill up my plate with everything that is offered.
Yeah.
If I eat all those things at once, I'll probably get sick. You got to choose something first. So to me, this is about choosing the stories of the personal connections, in the cars in order to just do something first, right? Like you said, there's a lot going on. There are lots of things to do. And I just want to make sure that I'm doing things well and in order. That's it.
Makes sense.
Fair
enough.
Sure, it makes
Still
sense.
sounds easier said than done.
Oh yeah.
But...
Oh, totally. I mean, listen. Make no small. I mean, it is hard work. Maybe the hardest, challenge I've ever faced in my career. But I'm not afraid of it. For me, I was making jokes before that I'm super competitive. So I want to win this. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to win it.
It's a good one to want to win.
Yeah.
I get it.
And plus, I think from a personal standpoint, I want to win it not just because it's like bragging rights, but because it's actually going to change something.
Absolutely.
So we talked a little about the internal culture. It's like, if we can change that, I mean, there are issues with diversity and inclusion everywhere.
Yep.
Let's not pretend like any place is some utopia for black girls like me.
Correct.
There's no utopia.
Correct.
So if we can make a difference in Silicon Valley, at Uber, at a company which has been lauded as the problem child, then we can make changes anywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you think is, if making changes at Uber is one thing, what do you think a company like Uber or any tech company or any company really, what is a company's responsibility towards pushing the industry forward?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think every company has huge responsibility in that, because you want to do it in a way that's responsible and well-meaning to the community, that you serve, because we are evolving. All of our industries, all of our jobs, they keep evolving. The other day I was talking to a friend, because I don't talk about anything else but marketing. I swear I'm much more interesting, but I talk a lot about this.
Fair.
And we were talking about the job of the milkman.
Yeah.
And what happened to that. What does he do now? Is he the Amazon driver? Like, I don't know what he does right now.
Right.
Right. But I think it's a good illustration of the fact that our jobs and our culture changes and evolves, and therefore, how are we, as a company who's at the forefront of a new industry, also being responsible to the cities and the communities that we're in?
Later today here at the event, we have Billie Jean King speaking with Selena Tabakawala, who's a tech founder in Silicon Valley, along with Jill Abramson, all women who have broken glass ceilings.
Yes.
And part of the conversation there will be, Billie Jean has done incredible things in the world of sports and beyond. Are there people out in the world, whether it's in business or beyond, that you take inspiration from?
Oh, girl, yes. I mean,
Who?
Oprah, the queen. I love her. I mean, yeah.
We'll get her next year.
Oh, good. Yes. Can I be here for that? Yeah,
Sure.
that'd be great. No, I mean, I admire, there's so many people I admire. I do admire Oprah, all jokes aside. I just think that she's incredible for what she was able to do in media, in the media space. Like, think about when she started. I think it was 1986. There was no one else who looked like her on TV.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then she kept that conversation going for how long? Was it 20 years? For how long? I mean, it was a long time. That is difficult to do.
And no one wanted her to leave.
And no, people were protesting.
Normally it's like, get out,
no,
your
but,
time
we
is
didn't want her
done.
to go, and now she's back on air,
Right.
Like, I love Oprah. I also love Kris Jenner. You know what I mean? I think Kris Jenner is incredible. She has turned, well, now she's got a whole lot of babies coming, but, she has been able to turn a story that could have been devastating for her family, depending on your perspective, into an empire.
Yep.
I mean, I think we should give her some credit. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
She deserves some credit. But yeah, there's lots and lots and lots of people that I admire.
Do they have, do they have common denominators? Is there what's the thing that draws you to people?
Yeah, they know how to emotionally connect in some way, right? Whether it's like Oprah, who is super inspiring, because towards the end of her show, it was always about like the betterment of self.
Yep.
That was her mission, which is so incredible. Like, you never were able to like watch a show and not walk away changed.
Yep.
I
watch it every day.
That's a feat, I think you can't watch like Keeping Up with the Kardashians and not like find some sort of guilty pleasure in that, or maybe some people can. I can't. I love it. I can't. You know what I mean? I'm just admitting, you know what I mean? This is the honesty hour.
I love it.
So here we are.
We're rebranding.
Oh yeah, exactly. The honesty, yes. Inbound Studios now the honesty hour. But I do think that the best storytellers and the best brand marketers are those who can connect to some feeling, that you have. And so for me, those folks are connecting to any of those feelings, whether it is fear. We can talk about the current administration in that way, right? I think that there's some real strength in understanding how to connect to an audience and what you draw upon in order to make them act.
Yep.
For good or for bad.
Absolutely. Do you have a superpower?
Yes, everything. No, actually, you know what? I'm really intuitive. I'm very intuitive. I trust my gut implicitly. Like, it is a superpower.
And have you always been that way, or did you have to teach yourself to listen to it?
So I've always been that way. I didn't always listen to it, though.
What was the turning point?
The turning point? Well, I mean, I talked myself into a job as sort of a midpoint in my career that was really bad. I did the pro and con list, and I knew it wasn't right. I just knew it. I knew it, But I did the pro and con list, and it was like, okay, I get a bigger team, you get more money, it was closer to home. Like, I just did the list. And then I was like,
say, the things we're taught we're supposed to
yes,
want.
we're supposed to want. And so I circled that, and I was like, well, I guess I'm supposed to take the job. Even though my spirit told me not to go. It was like, no, Boz, no! And I went anyway, And girl, within like 3 months, I was like,
She was right.
Yes, I've never, ever, ever since that moment, like, disagreed or wavered from my gut, ever. I won't do it. Nope. Not even when it doesn't make sense to other people. And believe me, I've made lots of moves that people are like, why are you doing that?
Yep.
Yeah.
You're here today with us, with the audience here. There's people watching. You did a talk on the Spotlight stage, and you witnessed Michelle Obama. If you could describe Inbound in one word, your experience here.
Oh my God.
What is it?
Magic!
Amazing.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here. It's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you everyone for watching, and thank you everyone for being here. Yay.